everybody, welcome to Connection and a Cuppa. I'm very delighted to bring to this series the lovely Bella Reynolds of Bella Reynolds Coaching. So today, covering a topic that's very much a big question I know that I'm always asked as a health coach, and I'm pretty certain, Bella, you'd be the same. When people have weight loss challenges, or they know somebody that has weight loss challenges, or they've lost their weight but they've never been able to maintain it. And it's really interesting for me to see a common thread that what gets in the way of that seems to be mindset and the self-sabotage and really staying on point to what they want to achieve. So that's what we'll be covering in our 20-minute connection today. So I've got my cuppa, Bella's got hers. So grab yourself a cuppa, enjoy listening to us, whatever time of day it is or where you are in the world. But before we dive in, Bella, thank you for joining me and the whole connection and a cuppa. And I would love you to share with everybody what Bella Reynolds Coaching is all about and also what drove you to wanting to do this type of work. Please share with us.
Well, it's lovely to see you. And we are literally on opposite sides of the world, of Australia, which I just love. Don't you love technology?
Love
we can thank COVID for a few things. And yeah, it's exciting to be on here. And hello to who is listening. Bella Reynolds Coaching is all about helping people with mindset, and specifically a big focus for my clients is about habits. So how did I come to this? Like a lot of coaches, to be fair, I think we've had our own personal journeys over the years, and my background is in exercise physiology. So I did have that many, many eons ago, and I have been in the wellness space for a long time, had a lot of different businesses as well. And when I sold my last one, I made the decision to give myself a year off, and I went and did my yoga teacher training, and I literally dived fully back into wellness. So that got me back into corporate. It got me, like, I had over 8 years working predominantly with men, which is interesting. And a lot of it was health related. So ran corporate wellness programs. And the thing that always came up is, and this is fundamental to why I moved into coaching, is that I believe over my experience that most people know what it is they want to lose or gain or have or increase in, whatever. And so if we're talking about weight loss, they know what it is and what they should be doing to get there. But unfortunately, most people don't know how. They've lost the ability to how, or they are totally confused on the how, or unfortunately for us, particularly around the weight loss industry, they have lost all form of confidence of even trying to work out how, because we have such a diet culture. So, and certainly my age and stage, we grew up in the eye of the diet culture storm. So, you know, when I do work with someone around weight loss, at the end of the day, the results are because that person has become their real them, like their real you. And that's terminology that's a little bit life coachy wanky, but it's true. They step more into themselves, and the weight loss is a symptom of becoming themselves, rather than, and we can talk more about this, but this whole attitude about focusing on do to equal have. So if you have a look here, you know, I work with this whole, but as a society, we are addicted doers. Do. But that's not what people are about. Why do you even want to lose the weight? Oh, I don't know, because I should. Well, that's not a reason. And if you get so fixed on that, unfortunately, your mindset, but unfortunately what it is, you're just on autopilot. So you will yo-yo for the rest of your life. I can almost guarantee it. So, you know, for me, I got into coaching because to me, it was ultimately helping people with how to do what they wanted to do. They knew what they wanted to do, but they, you know, had a change U-turn, or they just don't know how to do it properly.
It's absolutely true. And as a health coach, I have helped people lose weight. I know how to help them get present with how to nourish their body and how to put the right foods in and be more connected to what's on their plate. That's great. You get them to that stage. But I have also seen time and time again, slipping out back into bad habits. It's all about the habit. And then they lose, as you say, what am I doing this for? I don't know. I've lost perspective around what I need to do this for. So it's not just about the weight loss. It's about losing so many other habits that are attached to that, aren't they? And I do believe, passionately that when we nourish our body, we do start to lose some weight because we get the rubbish off our plate. We get very present to what we're eating and keeping it simple, eat as nature intended. But then there is a point that we get to, and I know, Bella, that's why I reached out to you to join this series, because I really wanted to help everybody out there that has struggled with this understand that there are some connection points to this. It's not just about, I need to get on the next diet. And you're absolutely right. We're both in that era of diets, and we're both in that era. Remember when aerobics first came in, and you used to have to flog yourself stupid to get the weight off. That's not sustainable. And most people suffer from stress or adrenal fatigue, which is my background. Yeah. I'd empty the tank constantly and would never see the connection point because I thought I had to do it because I just wanted to get into that pair of jeans or that outfit.
Dude, so addicted to what have I got to do? What have I got to do? Rather than stepping back and going, oh, hang on, who am I really wanting to become here? Because that to me has been the secret sauce. When you step back, as you found these beautiful, the thing is, there's so many recipes to success with weight loss. Absolutely. I firmly believe that. And what you're doing, I think, is absolutely one of them. So that's beautiful. But the sad bit is, if you are focused just on the do with that, it's very likely it will be a failure too. And it's not about the system. It's about the human that's coming to the system, unfortunately on autopilot. I call them habit robots, but not in a nasty sense. They just don't know what they don't know about their biology. And they don't know that really the secret is to work out, who do I want to become? When I lose all that weight, who do I want to become? Now, if you can't answer that, you will not keep it off, because you will spend the whole time that you're eating nourishing food. Oh, I'm fat. I'm fat. I am fat. And that's your belief system. You can't nourishly feed a shitty belief system. That's essentially, when I work with clients in this field and in all fields of life, we have to address their shitty belief system first, which is around their identity. And then things just start to happen for them. They start losing things they don't want anymore, and they start gaining things. But yeah, it's a totally different way of looking at it. I'm super excited that I live in the era now that some of the conversations I have with clients around, for example, anger behavior and emotional management, which leads to weight loss. I couldn't have had that conversation when I first started 35 years ago.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And so let's circle around a bit further with weight loss. So have you got a success story, something that, when somebody came to you and the journey you took them on, if you could share that, I'd love to hear that.
So I've got a number, and I was actually leading it to see what would come to inspire me to share today. There's actually two I'd love to share. One is actually a not success story. And I think it's really important to share them too, because that gives you understanding of why it is unsuccessful, but also a success story. So I think I'll start with my success story, because I think, everyone listening in, wanting to look at the good, meaty, easy bit. And well, how did it go? Well, so a beautiful young woman who came to me, and we worked for 12 months together. When she first started working with me, it was 100% around weight loss. She wanted to lose, and there was, she was well over the 100 kilo mark. As we started to work together, what was evident is that the weight that she was carrying, she had started to carry more and more and more from, so this young woman was about she's about 23, 24. So, but she had started to really gain it from about 14, 15. And it was all related to actually going to boarding school, unbeknownst to her. So until we really started delving into it. So, but when we really started looking at her habits, the thing that came up was the trigger for her. And this is not uncommon, but you had to delve a bit deeper. The trigger for her was with her emotional eating loop, because she had quite isolated herself living alone. The trigger was actually loneliness and boredom, and ultimately sadness. But she didn't know all that until we started to work through this. and she could understand her behaviors, because what she was noticing was that, I feel out of control. Before I know it, I've eaten X, or I've set up on Monday to be able to do my, really good on preparation, really good on knowing what she wanted to do. Come Wednesday, the wheels have fallen off. And before she knew it, she was literally in the fridge eating massive quantities of food in front of TV and on social media. So not an uncommon story, but why it was such a success story is, as she was able to see herself in the habit loop framework and able to discuss it with me, she really started to understand how lonely she was. So this weight loss that she was looking for stopped being the focus, and it started to be addressing the loneliness. And so the really cool bit is, and this is what I do around identity behavior change, is that when we can work out the identity that she wanted, and she wanted to become adventurous Casey. And she had always been adventurous as a child, but over time, as things happen, gets bashed out of us. So we worked progressively over her becoming more and more, little by little, micro, to become adventurous Casey. Here's the thing. By becoming adventurous Casey, she started being adventurous, not just in her social life, and also her studies. She's now full-time studying and teaching and going super, super well. She had no confidence. The extra weight she'd gained had taken so much from her life. And that's a big thing for anyone who has done that. I don't know that as a society we appreciate that weight, what the weight equals. Anyway, with Casey becoming adventurous Casey, the biggest thing is she started to explore so many other opportunities for her in life and in eating and exploring different foods. She had quite a bland palate. She had a really boring menu system. She had got really closed in. By the time we finished up, not only had she lost a significant amount of weight, but I didn't focus on that. She now is a gardener. Her stress management tool is around gardening. Her ability to get in the car and start going out on little trips. The first time she sent me, and I've got goosebumps, the first time she sent me a photo of her doing the dawn at the beach as adventurous Casey, drove down 2.5 hours on her own, like huge thing for her to change. She has stepped into her power and has absolutely become adventurous Casey. So in that light, she has also started doing a run program. So after the 12 months, she was then able to continue because she had learned so much about herself in the process. So I hope that's a real demonstration of, she came to me for weight loss. Very quickly, it wasn't about that. It was about gaining understanding of how she could not be so lonely. And then, this didn't happen overnight. It generally happens between 3 to 6 months. At around the 6 months, a client is really blossoming in these new understandings, or they're not. Okay. And that brings me to the not so success story. And I had a beautiful, beautiful woman approach me, and it was through a whole system of other things. When we started working together, very much about weight loss, very solid pattern of trying to lose and fail. There was also quite a strong picture of alcohol use. Okay. And what was really evident when we started looking at her food, which I'm not a dietitian, but obviously we start to look at what's going in, what's going out, was a medication. So she was actually using alcohol, and because it's got such a high, it's got no nutrients, but high calorific, doesn't matter what she was doing on the side with movement, this was not, it was counterproductive. But what was really interesting is over a very short period of time, it was very evident that when we talk about her identity, she wanted to become, by the weight loss, she wanted to be, unbeknownst to her, she wanted to become unconditionally loved Jane. Yeah. And as she didn't know that until we really worked it through, there was a lot of very strong soul searching sessions. Unfortunately, this beautiful woman is in and remains in a relationship with a man that can't do that or won't do that or is not able to do that. She also is not at a position where she would leave that relationship. And I actually bring that one up because after, we'd done about 7 months, I think, together. And we literally came to a point where it doesn't actually matter what until she is willing to really address that. And what I mean by that is not necessarily leaving that relationship, but actually owning that, stepping into her power in that relationship, then all the stuff we're going to deal with weight loss is a waste of time. So the beautiful thing is that woman did end up with some really fabulous rituals that have supported her every single morning to be unconditionally loving of herself. But and so that was one I was thinking about this morning, where it wasn't a success story, but in a way I see that it was. And for her, we stayed in contact. It actually was a success because now she has a choice. She didn't even know that that was a choice. And, you know, the beauty is she's still doing that ritual today. So that is still helping her. But so that's a really interesting thing. I don't know that a lot of us, and when we look at how to solve how do I do what I need to do, you do have to have that introspection to work out, well, what am I currently doing? And I know these are doing based, but who am I currently being and doing that stuff? Because if you're not going to address that, it's a waste of money. It's a waste of time. It's a waste of energy.
Absolutely. And they'll move on then to the next diet or the next thing. Because again,
absolutely. And correct.
They keep focusing on what the main pain point is.
Yeah.
But it's not necessarily just that pain point. As you're saying, there's so many directions to all of the pain point. And isn't that amazing? Like the gold nuggets that they've received out of working with you. And it's the same as what I've experienced in my coaching time as well. Like I've had a lady that came to me years ago with also just focused on the weight, purely on the weight. And yes, we tidied up the diet and we, you know, got her very present to eating a lot more cleaner foods and had her fill out a diary for me because she was actually mindlessly eating and she didn't realize the habit she had created. But from that, we actually discovered that it was also just the mindless eating that was just squashing down so many other things.
Suppressing
all the time.
She was medicating with food. Medicating with food. And in our day and age, this is the real risk.
Yeah.
We have an extraordinary abundance of not just beautiful food, shitty food, crappy food. Excuse my language. I do work with men predominantly.
It's all good.
Doesn't mean I don't work. I do work with a lot of women too. Sorry, mainly the ones that probably are happy about swearing. Anyway, but yeah, you know, we unfortunately, and this is it, more people are dying in this day and age of stress and overabundance of food than the opposite. So more than ever, we have to be really mindful of what's setting us off, how are we rolling with it, and what are the impacts of it. So as I say, habit robots, and up to 95% of what you'll do every day can be habitized, automatic. Yeah. So it's about bringing that number down. And then when you're not in a habit, you're in a choice. Now, so even if you choose to eat the food or drink that wine or whatever, when you're in choice mode, it is in your power. And that's the real shift, isn't it? When we, and I mean, I'm definitely ex-reformed serial dieter in my old world. I know that, world. And when you just feel out of control, and that's a horrible, our biology, that's probably another big thing. It's just helping people to understand their biology so that they can get it to work for them and support them rather than it using them. So.
Very sadly, in my 20s, I actually became so obsessed with dieting. I literally counted every single thing I was consuming, how many calories I'd had. I would walk no matter what time of day, and even if it was raining, I was just obsessed with getting this weight off. But there were so many triggers going on within my life that brought me to that obsessive state. And very sadly, I also dabbled a little bit in bulimia for a while there. I managed to pull myself out of it, but bulimia is all about control because I felt out of control. I totally felt, and I was only in my early 20s. And there are so many factors that, again, come back to the main core of why are we doing this, as you're saying, Bella. What's our why? With everything in life, what is our why? With business, with our own journey with health and wellness. And that's something that I always check when I'm coaching people as well. What is your why to why you want to work with me and why you want to reach these certain goals? Because most people just have, I've found, maybe 2, 3 certain pain points that they want to work on. And at the moment, what I'm seeing a lot of repetitive wording around is definitely weight loss, cravings is a big thing.
Yeah. Yep.
And also vitality, because we're heavily stressed, we are lacking vitality, but then we're eating, and when we're eating foods because we're caving into the cravings, then that adds the weight on, and we just end up going around and around like a merry-go-round. So it's just, that's why I'm so excited to bring you on, because there is just such a point where we have to just stop the noise and stand there and go, okay, what is my why, and how can I best serve myself? And self-love, like that's a whole other realm that we could go on with for another talk. But that's why I wanted to create this series as well, and just bring in, you know, some amazing people out there doing wonderful work, because I think now more than ever, we really have to focus on nourishing our bodies. We have to focus on the self-love. And what about with habits? You know, I guess when you're coaching people, it's about bringing in certain habits and sustaining those habits. Because I know with me, with the coaching, I get them to just have greens with every meal initially. Like that's just one habit. I want you to create new normals, Then let's move to the next thing. There's no overnight success. It doesn't take overnight. It's quite a lengthy process. Would you say the same? You break it down and just then put it into bite-sized pieces for them?
Definitely the micro, like the secret sauce in this day and age. And it's, you said just before, you know, about nourishing our body. The thing I'm loving now is that people very much appreciate that you can nourish your body, but if you're not nourishing your mind. But there's a classic point about self-compassion that, and I've definitely been this on my journey myself, but I can't think of a client I haven't worked on this with, is that sometimes not sometimes, what you have to do is even understand that you are being discompassionate to yourself. Because if you grew up sort of in an era, if you're also the style of person that is quite ambitious and you like goal setting and all of that, we can tend to believe that if you don't just harden up and do the hard stuff, do the David Goggins, do all the really tough stuff, harden up and get over it, then if you don't realize that there's another mode to that, then you are fueling yourself discompassionately. And that brings on emotional habit loops, which is what you were just saying before. When we talk about cravings, okay, so James Clear is the guru in the habit space. So Atomic Habits, if anyone wants to read, and he does add into his trigger, routine, reward, craving. And it's because it comes in here. But the reason it becomes a craving, well, this is my take on it, is because if you are, for example, in an emotional eating habit loop, what you're actually craving, the reason a craving comes up is because you're not satisfied. So the trigger is actually an emotion, say loneliness, okay? And so the routine is loneliness brings on sadness, emotion. So then the routine is to go and, feed your face while you're on Netflix. And more importantly, this is one of the easiest ways to get people back in their mind, is removing that. So they'll just look for solace. So the reward happens. Okay, I'm not lonely because I'm on here, or I've fed myself, or I've actually got a reward. It's good. Okay, I'm feeling good. But the challenge is it's not satiating. So it doesn't fully complete that cycle. So very quickly, and it depends on where you're at, but very quickly, you're still sad and lonely, and it comes back up. So unfortunately, the craving process is you don't even know the emotion is what it is. Unfortunately, you're just in this routine and you think what you're craving is that food. You're not. You're just craving that loop. And that's the one thing when you actually understand. And I remember this incredible man who had a lot of anger management issues, which was leading to a lot of overeating, battled with his weight his whole life. When he saw himself in the loop, he actually was in a class and he actually handed up and he said, but what happens when you see yourself there, but you don't know how to stop it? It was the best thing he ever asked, and his world changed dramatically from then on. We started coaching because he saw himself in it. He could actually see where he could start making a choice. But until he saw that that's what he was doing, he couldn't make a choice. So when I talk about craving, when we talk about cravings, the number one thing, if anyone's listening, a little thing to take away, get your pen and paper out. and just start reflecting. Journaling is one of the biggest habits that people, all my clients, get into their life and remain with at, different levels. But just get a piece of paper out and start thinking on my day today, what is it that I was unhappy about? Oh, well, I ate that. Reflect. Okay. So why did I eat that? What was going on in my day? And that's the big thing. People don't spend the time to reflect what's really going on in their life. And then there's aha moments. So yeah, there's so many ways to solve this, but they all require slowing down and reflection, because you get out of your automatic brain and you get into your core, executive function.
I even say that with clients I've coached around the eating, because the eating, most people have got digestive issues. And one factor to that is we're shoving it in because we won't stop. We're still looking at this. We're still reading that. We're still taking calls while we're eating. Or we're still there. And I just work very hard on people breaking that habit. Yep. Let's sit, get present, reflect on our day so far, enjoy our meal if it's lunchtime, and let the body digest the food and let the body absorb the food. So it's just...
Or don't eat. If you're not ready, if you know that your environment, you are still at work, you're still taking those calls, you stop long enough to go, am I actually hungry, or is it just 12 o'clock?
Yep.
More often than not. And I know that you've got a fasting regime is part of yours, which is a beautiful. I love the science on it, and I also love the habit element it brings in, because it gets us to understand we can survive without food, because I think a lot of us are overeating because we're just so frightened. Well, if I don't eat before that meeting, I may not eat for 3 hours. Oh, so I can manage without eating for 3 hours.
I have definitely worked with people on that, because we're so set on our meal times and we have to eat, because then what will happen, our blood sugar will drop and then we can't cope. Well, there's ways that I can help people just balance all of that out. So balancing the blood sugar out, intermittent fasting, so the body recharges and it actually rejuvenates and has a break. So that helps you look younger, get more vitality, and then I can help with foods that will pause the cravings as well. Perfect. Plus, you can still enjoy your wine. You don't have to give everything up. So that's where, my work comes in bringing in those different elements to still help you achieve the result. But then that's where you would come in with the mindset, because, there's such a deeper layer. That's why, Bella, my business name is the whole connection, because everything is connected. It's our emotions, it's nature, it's our connection to community. What's our environment like? What's our home life like? So many factors that make up optimal health, which is all I want for people to be able to reach. So wonderful shares. As we start to wrap up, I think you've just given some great points there that really, I think, what is the biggest takeaway you'd like the listeners to get from your shares today?
Oh, that's a great question, isn't it? Because a bit like yourself, of course, you want to give them everything. Just online with that, I'd just like to add that little point there. Again, alcohol, the big baddie. It's not screens, the big screens, the big baddie. No. It's the humans that are mindlessly using it. Alcohol is a beautiful part of any joyful routine for a human that can actually do that. It's the mindless consumption of alcohol, mindless consumption of everything in our society. Okay, what is the key takeaway? Oh, look, I think, okay, one little concept that we haven't discussed. And if I think about my top three, I've managed to get across about the do equals have is just an addictive part. And the automaticity, just the robot mode we're all in. There is a major over-reliance on willpower. Most humans believe that they are unsuccessful because they just haven't got the willpower. Johnny over there or Sally over there, oh, she can do that because she's got more willpower. Bullshit. Not about that. Understanding that willpower is a muscle, and if you are not nourishing your willpower muscle, exactly what you're talking about with beautiful foods, beautiful emotions, sitting down, having a relaxation habit, if you are in go mode, you are already leaching all willpower. So your ability to actually bring on a new habit is diminished already. So it's not about temperament. Well, I mean, temperament does bring it, but it's not about that. For the vast majority of people, they don't even know how to use their willpower muscle to give themselves a starting chance. So I think when I really understood, and here's the last little piece on that, the humans that I work with who get major change are the humans that start to understand who they really are and what they really want in life. And a leaker, a part of, in my opinion, that leaks willpower from a human is rocking up every day, doing the same thing with the same people and hating it. That is leaching their willpower. So if you are a person that is not living the way you want to live, working the way you want to live, and you are on a total diet yo-yo, then forget about the diet and have a good hard look at yourself and get some support. Because I think that's a really big thing. We are over reliant on willpower. We don't even know how to use this muscle. And it's like a game changer when you understand. It's like, oh, I need a rest. I actually don't need that food. I'm tired because I've been going at a rate of knots, or because my staff have been giving me the pips and I don't know my techniques to improve on them. I actually need a rest. Yeah. So anyway, I'm
this
over.
This to the body, absolutely. And it's the same with food. It's what I help people with as well. Start to really, I give them tools to tap into what foods aggravate them.
Yeah.
What foods nourish them, what foods give them vitality, what foods do help with the cravings. Yeah, so it's the same concept. It's really tuning in to our own innate way of speaking to us. It's just we're got so much noise going on, we just can't. And I do hear it a lot from people I have worked with. I just don't have time. I don't have time for myself. Well, it's about us stepping in.
You will down the track. Yeah. You'll have a lot of time sitting in hospital, or you'll have a lot of time in your deathbed. Unfortunately, it's brutal, but it's real. Your time will be made for you coming down the track.
Absolutely, absolutely. Now, as we do finish up, Bella Reynolds coaching, please, there'll be a link below to connect with you on your website and also your socials. But what would you like to offer the listeners that have enjoyed this time with you?
Look, if anyone's curious about, what it is like to work with me, then I'd love them to just get on my website. And I always have before. I'm very choosy about the people that I work with. And the reason for that is if I don't believe I can actually help someone, I'm not going to waste their time, money or energy. That's a waste of time. So I always have a free consultation. So when you get on my website, you'll see lots of little prompts. Hook onto that and you just get a free, and it's generally a 30-minute check-in. And so I'm getting an understanding of what you're looking for. You're getting an understanding. You can ask any questions and we can see if that can actually work for you. So that, I'd be loving anyone. If you're at all curious, just book in. You just book in a time to have a little chat. I prefer a Zoom if I can, because we can actually see each other. But yeah, that's how I roll.
Excellent. And also for me, for anyone that would like to work with me, so I do help women gain energy, curb their cravings, reduce their wine waistline without giving it up. So thewholeconnection.com.au. So I am down the bottom link below. I also offer a free summary session. So that's a connection with me to really understand where you're at on your health and wellness journey. If you really would like to gain more energy and vitality, you would like to curb your cravings, connect with me, and don't forget to click the button below for my socials. But Bella Reynolds, it's always a delight to connect with you. Thank you. I've loved our connection in a cuppa.
No, we need another one.
Join me for the next interview, which will be in a couple of weeks' time. But thank you, everyone, for listening. And I hope you've really got some great takeaways from my time with Bella. So thank you again, Bella.
Thank you for having me, and have a beautiful afternoon.
Thank you, and you.